For those of you who are taking courses with me this fall 2021 semester, I wanted to spend a few minutes talking about some of the technologies that we started using this week. And also I want to make some recommendations about how you can better access videos of online classes and also ways that you can access the attendance list directly from Microsoft Teams. This is a slight change than what we talked about in class, but I think in both cases it will be a little bit easier for both of us to access this information. I think it'll be easier for me also to provide these videos to you in a more timely fashion. So let's talk about the attendance list first and how you can access that. I'll show you some various examples since I have 3 classes this semester. Those of you who are taking discourse analysis, those of you who are taking communicative abilities in English and also listening and speaking 1 in Prope, this will be a very similar process. All of the information that you can access as it relates to the videos and also the attendance list, you can do so directly from Microsoft Teams. So let's take a look at how you can do this. Again, this is a slight variation. It's a little bit different than what we talked about in class, so I wanted to create this video to just clarify how you can do this. So the easiest way, I think, for you to verify that you're on the list for each day's class is to go into your calendar, and you should see all of the online sessions scheduled throughout the semester in your calendar in Microsoft Teams. So in this particular case, today is August 15th, so it defaults to the second week of class. I'm going to click the back arrow here just to show you this is from last week, our first week of class. Let's say that I want to access the list from your course, and I'm going to choose here discourse analysis. I could have chosen any of these courses. In your case, only your course will appear, obviously, in the calendar. But what you can do is click on any class session and click where it says chat with participants. Now from here it should open up the post section within the class session, and there should be options from here to download the attendance report. This report is generated automatically by Microsoft Teams if all things are working correctly. So this is, I think, an easy way for you to go in and access and download this report if you need to. This will, if you click here, this will automatically download into your downloads folder an Excel spreadsheet where you can access this information. And I'll be doing the same thing as well. I will be downloading it on my computer and archiving it in my own personal files and using this report to keep your attendance up to date in Teacher Ease. All right, so in most cases, it's fairly straightforward. Like in this particular case, it takes you right to the day that you're looking at. Now, I would ask that you check on a daily basis to verify, and if there's any changes or doubts or for whatever reason you don't appear on the list, we need to look at it. But this is something that I would check on a daily basis if you're concerned about being on the list, not to wait more than a day or two to double check this information. If you want to find historic information, let's say you want to find the list for a class, let's say from the prior week, this example, if you notice here, I went to a different class, listening and speaking 1, and you'll notice here in this particular case, let me open this up here. All right, so if I go down to the very bottom of this list, okay, this is from the last class, last Friday, August 13th. All right, so that's this report here, and you can see the report, you can see the date of that report nested in other comments from that day. But if you want to see a prior day in this particular case, let's say that I want to go back to last Monday, that would be the first day of class. And I click on the class session, I click on check or chat with participants. Now, if we go towards the bottom of the screen, notice that it shows the last report. This is not the report from the first day of class. We have to scroll up, and it's a little bit of a lengthy process, only because you have to continue to press See Previous Replies. And you may have to click on this option, See Previous Replies, until you're able to scroll all the way up to go to the first, essentially the first post from that day one. So here, now this is the report from day one, and you see here you have the option to download this report. So again, your best bet is to check on a daily basis your attendance report, and you can do so directly from Microsoft Teams. Now let's say you want to access some of the videos from our online session. I'm going to make every effort to record these sessions. Sometimes technology fails, but for the most part, I think this past week I was able to get almost all of the classroom online sessions recorded. I'm going to try to now start recording, as I'm doing now, streaming to YouTube as an unlisted video. So all of the videos in the video archive that I'm going to show you here are in a YouTube channel, but it's an unlisted channel. That is, all of the videos are unlisted, and they're not viewable by anyone who does not have the link. They're not videos that are made public. They are unlisted. So if you go directly into the video archive from Microsoft Teams, you'll see here, or you should see, the videos that have been added to the channel or the list, the playlist for our course. So I have a playlist for discourse analysis. I have a playlist for communicative abilities in English, and I have a playlist for listening and speaking. Now, if it doesn't default by listing the most recent videos towards the top, I would suggest that you click on this sort option so that the most recent video appears at the top. I will always try to put the date in with the title, and I'll usually title it Online Session and then the name of the course. So in this case, Discourse Analysis Online Session, and then the date, just to make it easier for you to distinguish between the online sessions and when they're posted, or when they were recorded, I should say, and also any other videos that I may be creating as a type of tutorial or for some other purpose. I will title those accordingly. Okay, so we might have online sessions in this playlist as well as other tutorials, but again, I will filter through those videos to their respective playlists. I'll try to create videos and put them in those playlists so they automatically appear within your video archive within Microsoft Teams. So it's very similar. In fact, it's the same way to access the information or the videos, but the other videos, the first option that we talked about earlier this past week was it was just a lengthy process, and the videos were so big that if you wanted to access them, I think this is actually an easier way for you to do that. Now, of course, these are unlisted playlists. You can always access these same playlists through your regular browser if you want to go directly to those playlists to access the same videos. Okay, so these are two different ways, or actually two different ways to access the video archives through Microsoft Teams or through your browser, and a slightly different way to access the attendance list, again, going directly into the calendar in Microsoft Teams. All right, now the last thing I will recommend everyone to do is to make sure that you're able to access Teacher Ease. I went in this weekend and tried to update all your names to make sure that your names are correct. Hopefully you've received an email by now. If you haven't, make sure that you're sending me a chat message so that I can try to resend the invitation, or maybe I need to check your email to make sure that that's correct. Please also check your full name. Make sure that I have your correct last names, and make sure that I didn't inadvertently put a last name as a second name or a second name as a last name. Okay, so if you could just double check your complete name in Teacher Ease to make sure that I have your name correct And also, if there are any mistakes, any spelling mistakes, also please, if you would, let me know through the chat in Microsoft Teams. All right, so this is basically what I wanted to talk with all of you about, making sure that you can get into TeacherEase, making sure you can access the video recordings for our classroom sessions, making sure you can access the attendance list for each of our classes. I'm still trying to work with our systems department at the university to make sure that you can access Flipgrid for those of you who are taking communicative abilities in English and also listening and speaking. Both of those groups will be using Flipgrid. All of my classes will be using Trello, so also make sure that you've received an invitation and that you're able to enter into Trello. This is where all the course content's going to reside. This is where you can access the assignments and activities that we're doing each day in class in Trello. So please make sure that you're able to access Trello. Make sure that you are checking periodically to get into Flipgrid. We'll be talking about it on a day-to-day basis, and as soon as I hear something from the university in terms of you having permission to get into Flipgrid, I will pass that information along to you. All right, so as we get into week 2, we will continue using these technologies. If anybody's having issues with technology and you're not sure how to access or you can't get into certain areas, let me know. Other than, for example, Flipgrid, I know that there's an issue and we're working on that. But make sure that you're able to get around these technologies, Microsoft Teams, of course. And just a reminder, if you do have any need for sending me a private message, I would prefer that all private messages for our classes be through the chat feature in Microsoft Teams. All right, guys, we'll stop there, and we'll see everybody next week, week 2.